Terica, why? I don't think I've ever asked you why did you help me?
Well, because I don't like for one bad situation in real estate to ruin an entire dream. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, real estate changed my life. It took me off of welfare. It took me off of food stamps. It took me off Section 8. And so I know, like, if it can change my life, somebody who's in the mud, it can change anybody's life. But a lot of the times people get involved, they have the wrong people, they got all these, fly by night coaches or whatever the case may be. They get burned and then they quit forever.
Mhm.
But any successful person will tell you real estate has to be a part of your portfolio. How do you make $1 million and not be able to depreciate it?
What do you mean?
Like
Explain
in
that.
real estate.
See, I understand it now, but what do you mean by make $1 million and not be able to depreciate it? Explain that.
Right. So, like in real estate, we have certain tax benefits that we can use through our real estate properties through investments. And so you have depreciation where you can write off a certain portion of that particular investment over a certain period of time, depending on the investment, what type of real estate, the way you have it set up, pretty much, right? So if it's multifamily or just a single door, however it is, like your attorney or your tax advisor, whoever you use to do your taxes, can actually depreciate that money where you don't have to pay taxes on so much capital. Like that makes sense?
So give me an example with real numbers. Let's say I make $1 million for the year. Me personally, I make $1 million in some other business. You're saying I can buy some real estate and I won't have to pay the whole $1 million. I won't have to pay taxes on the whole $1 million that I made, correct?
Correct. So it depends on how you buy it, up under what entity. Like I don't want to, mislead the
Right.
folks,
Give me an example. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not.
Okay.
It's an
Yeah.
example.
So for instance, right, I buy a rental property for $100,000. Okay. Well, the IRS won't recognize that as a gain until you go and sell it. Currently, that's how it goes, right? Because that would be considered a gain. So what happens is you're able to build unrecognized gains in real estate, which means you can refi, pull money out, go put it somewhere else. But the depreciation aspect of it is you able to deduct a certain portion of your interest, your rents, the actual value of the property in order to get a tax break for you acquiring that property. Do that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so with that, you see a lot of people before December 31st, they're rushing to go buy real estate because they want to go and get the tax, the tax advantages. And so you cannot have an extensive amount of wealth and not look for tax vehicles to be able to put that in. And so having the right tax person, like you got a great team now, I have a great team. It keeps us out of jail, right? Having the people to tell us, hey, look, this is what you need to go buy. This is where you need to do this. You need to hold a few meetings at your house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they tell us different things to be able to put us in different tax categories. Like my attorney hit me because, this internet money is crazy, right? So I'm like, yo, I don't want to go to jail. What we need to do? And, but I also don't want to give Uncle Sam 45% because he ain't really loving me like that. So I'm trying to figure this out. And so he was like, you can go get a healthcare IRA. I'm like, what? A healthcare IRA? He like, yeah.
IRA.
Yeah. He like, so I don't have to go and pay, like, it's almost like you'll put an amount in an IRA of what you think your health expenses is going to be, and it's allocated towards your health. Well, that's a tax vehicle I would have never known about without the right people. Like, you know what I'm saying? So how much I think my health going to be? I don't know, maybe 50 grand a year. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You tell me what my health need to be. What I'm saying? And I'm going to put it there. But it's just like having those different type of advantages, and by no means, I'm not no tax expert or anything like that, but I do understand buying real estate allows me more tax vehicles than not having real estate.
For sure. I want to have like a conversation about building wealth. And some people maybe don't understand the value of real estate. And I know, Ramel, you don't do like traditional real estate where it's like I got a building, a retail building, then I'll fill it up with tenants. Well, I guess you do like the storage units, right? But like I want to talk about like the the psychology behind long-term wealth, because I'm just now getting into the understanding of it's better to buy and hold and get some cash flow going versus let me just find something that I can flip it. The more I can make on the flip, the better. But it's not always better, like long term. So how did we start turning our mindset to thinking long term?
So for me, so I got 2 or 3 things. So for me, I would start out doing sales. So I was a wholesale and I was a real estate agent. So I was real estate agent first, then I was wholesale. 1 month, this was pissed me off. I had about the exact number was $67,000 I was supposed to make in profit between 3 different deals, and they all terminated at the same time.
Flips or
wholesales?
Wholesales.
All at the same time. And this was my birthday month. So it was just like super pissed off. So the idea of starting back all over again in January was just, it just didn't sit right for me, especially, say New Year, like you starting off like, dang, I got to start off all over again. So that was the idea that made the switch for me. Like I need to start getting like more properties, the whole rentals and things like that. And then also one of the things that also helped me get started was I was listening to this podcast, and the guy was on the podcast, and he said what he did was he bought 2 properties for his daughter. He said one property she can sell it to pay for college, she could sell it to go ahead and start her business. And the second property is she can move into it or she can sell it about how she really wants. He bought them properties super cheap, but by the time she turned 18, they paid down, and the value is so crazy where she's able to do that. But just like the idea of me buying 2 houses can set up all of that long term is just amazing. And then the last thing with long term wealth, you can literally dip into the same pot over and over again. So for example, I bought a property in 2021. I bought it for $193,000. I actually own 2 of these on the same block, across the street from each other. I bought a property. One of them I bought for $193,000. I put let's just say $50,000 into it, updated everything as a triplex. I rent out each unit for $1,250 a unit, right? I refinanced the building, so I put a loan on it for $380,000 and I pulled out $100 and something grand, right? So now my loan is $380,000, but the value went up even more, and now I'm actually selling the building. Like right now, we're gonna be closing in the next 3 weeks. I'm selling it for $485,000. So now my loan amount is $370 something. So $485,000 minus 3. So basically,
and you already pulled out $100,000
tax free that I used to go ahead and buy across the street, which is worth $550,000, and I only owe $280,000 on that building.
Dang.
So now between 2 buildings, I can pull out $200-300 grand between 2, but that's in 2 years. So long term, I can go and dip in. And if I didn't even want to sell it, I could just refi again. The only thing is you got to watch your cash flow. The higher the mortgage, the higher the higher the loan amount, the higher your monthly mortgage payment. So you just got to be mindful of that. So a lot of people say, refi, pull all the money out, but then if you got a triplex, you cash flow on $200, like that don't really.
Right.
It's like a waste of time.
You up? Are you up?
No, we just.
How many properties you got?
We got 18 properties. Some of them single families, some of them duplex and triplex. So total, we got about 39 units. And then I got a bunch of lots too. Yeah, 39 doors.
You buy lots too?
Yeah, hell yeah. We about to start building on three lots next month.
You all the way up. How much money you use on these deals? On your out of pocket?
So the thing is with that is too, I'd use other people's money as far as so I use lenders for 80% of my deals, and then they require a 20% down payment. So I might need $20,000, $30,000, $15,000 on some of them, which I just use a credit card. But I'm not gonna lie, my one of my business partners tell me I just be moving too fast sometimes. So some of the deals, some of the bigger deals I do, I might need 70, 80 grand down payment, things like that. And let's say, for example, all my deals is off market, so I don't use real estate agents. So with that being said, some of the sellers, we need it might be issues or something. We got to do it fast. Lenders, my lender, we can close same week. So I get to do a Monday, title might be back already. Whatever the reason is, we can move fast. Let's say we need 70,000, 80,000. Let's just drop it. Just drop it. Let's keep it pushing. My partner, he's nah, you tripping. If you can't delay it, it ain't worth it. But I'm looking at the bigger picture. This is an amazing deal. Just give him the 80 grand. Let's just keep pushing. So a lot of my stuff I use lenders, and then the other little 20% piece, I'll use credit cards. But some of them, I'll just like, yo, let's just grab it. Like, we'll figure the rest out later.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not like that no more. But that was like last year.
So your residential is way better than commercial, bro.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
No, he got some. I got 3 commercial builders too that I'm starting to like. So he kind of helped me convert.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, 3 like that.
They commercial mix you, so storefronts on the first floor and apartments upstairs. But I like the commercial.
You got some of them?
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
3?
Yeah. Nah.
He might be up.
Okay.
He might be up, man.
Tell me you up without saying you up. Just wait. Ramel, commercial real estate, man. Because it really actually, as I get deeper into commercial real estate, it seems less headache, but less lucrative than getting a whole bunch of residential. No?
No. See, like my brother, he always say, become more effective in less time, right? Yeah. So what it takes somebody to do 30 years, I want to do it in 10. Mm-hmm. And back like to the question that you talking about long-term wealth, my dad instilled that in me when I was young because he worked 30 years and then he retired and he had to go pick up another job. Right. So that was my motivation growing up. Like, damn, I seen you work 50, 60 hours, retired. Now you got to get a part-time job. So I'm thinking when I turn that age, everything I'm doing now need to be taking care of me. So I'm investing with the mindset of, all right, what I'm doing now, what is going to look like 10, 15, 20 years from now, right? So with that being said, buying commercial real estate, one acquisition, like I don't need to buy 10, 15, 20 houses. I'm spinning my wheels, right? I want to spend time with my family. So all I need is one move, and I can maximize that one move and get back the value that it would have probably took me to get 5, 10 single families. Now, I started out that way. I'm not going to bash it because it was a lower entry, a lower barrier to entry. But now with more experience, more capital, and more understanding, commercial for me, because so this is commercial building, right? So you got multiple streams coming out of here. You renting out, different space.
Do it.
Say you up without saying you up, right?
That's a bar.
But the revenue that you're bringing out of this building, that increases the value of your facility. I mean, of your building, right? Because you're bringing in more income. So I'd rather focus on one building. How can I make the most money out of this one building and get the money that way versus let me go buy another house.
Is it easier to get residential houses or it's the same process?
It's easier because it's more homes out there. There's more people that's in distressed situations. It's a little tougher to find great commercial deals.
Right.
But again, for me, I'd rather spend a little bit more time on the commercial, even though it take a little longer, because when I do hit a home run, it's gonna make up for if in that time I went and got 3, 4 singles.
There's 2 sides to every coin. And as a journalist, it's my responsibility to ask the question of the other side, because all this could go terribly wrong. Yes.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It could.
It has.
It has.
I want to share that too, because that's a great point. Because yes, I can tell you this worked and I did it X, Y, Z. But before that happened, I was in a bad deal, right? Because I paid contractors to do a job, didn't do my due diligence, right? I bought a property on the auction, and when you buy them on the auctions online, it's a blind sale. So you're just buying them. It's cheap, but you don't know what you get, right? So I was over leveraged, and again, to be transparent, the reason why I had to go and do the family legacy meeting and leverage my cousin, because I was over leveraged at the time.
Oh,
because
wow.
I invested wrong. I maxed out my credit cards. I'm like, damn, I'm strapped. But in that process, I learned what I did wrong. So now I said, because I have the information, who could I pull around me that's going to help me get back in the game? And that's how I got back on track.
That's hard.
And now, go from there.
That's hard.
And I always got to add something.
Please.
I always got to add something.
You got the Jeezy ad-libs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got to add something. So,
add so much to the song.
Yeah. I think also, well, 2 things. One, you have to find someone, whether it's a mentor, friend or mentor, have to find someone that's already doing the stuff so you can learn. It doesn't make sense to trip if someone already walked 10 miles before you. Just follow their steps. Yeah. They already said a pothole there, you go to the right a little bit. But also, I think you can't lose, but it can be delayed. So, for example, if you buy right, so like I was telling you, all properties we buy them off market, we get them as cheap as humanly possible. So when you buy right and buy cheap, you're never going to lose. Even if you like borrow a little too much money or, you know, spend a little extra than you thought. If you bought, let's say for example, you plan to spend $50,000 on this property fix up, end up costing you $70,000. But if you bought the house for $50 and it's worth, let's just say $250 when it's all said and done, even though you spent a little bit more money than you thought, it's still a whole lot of room left over. So what we do in our business, we make sure that we get it cheap as humanly possible. That way, if we call it oh shit money, we can build in oh shit money within the deal. So if I'm factoring in a 15% contingency, 20% control, if something goes wrong, we already factored in. Yeah. So that way, if the deal goes over leverage, like we're still going to make money. Gotcha. The problem is, let's say for example, he says 70% loan to value. So what that means, if you have a property that's, when everything is said and done, worth $100,000, the lender will give you up to 70 grand. That means you got to buy it and fix it up within the 70. You buy it for 20, put 50 into it. Buy it for 50, put 20 into it. However you chop it down, that's your max. We buy deals 65% of the LZ. So we already under what you give. So that way, if the deal goes south a little bit, 1%, now you 1% over. We go over 1%. We go over 3%. We still under the math. Yeah. So like, I think it just comes down to making sure like, don't be all fast, just buy right. But the only way you really gonna know that is you tap in with somebody that's telling you that information and just not be so excited. I think people get so excited and just like, I just want to buy something. I just want to buy something. Older guy told me this not a long time ago, like 2 years ago. He said, wrong with y'all generation now, y'all want to buy a house just because it look cool.
It does look cool though.
Yeah, like the hell yeah, it looks cool, but you know, but then you in jams where like, dang. So more to bring the whole thing full circle, your bag may be delayed another month or two, but you're not going to lose because you bought it right the first time. Now, some people buy messed up, and then they at the closing table getting a check for $1,000, or I've seen people where it got so bad where they was negative at the closing table selling it. Yeah, because they bought super wrong. Like, yo, Shan said he got a deal for me in Atlanta. Like, it's Shan's, I gotta buy it. Like, they attach your brand to the deal. That's two separate things. So that's stuff that.
So here was the first option. Create a GPLP who owns the real estate only. We create a new company. It says David, Terica, Derek, Stephanie creates a GPLP. Real estate only, invests only in the acquisition. Purchase price $1 million, agree to pay investors back a monthly payment. Example, if this new company occupies this building, this $1 million building, the new company pays the building money and the investors who gave the $1 million will make money off of the rent?
So that option, think of it like this, right? Forget the podcast idea. We're just going to buy commercial real estate. That's what that deal is. We're getting investors. We're going to buy a commercial property. That commercial property, we're going to put a commercial tenant, and that tenant is going to pay us lease. They're going to pay us rent, and over time, we're going to realize a certain cap rate. We're going to make profit off of normal investment operations, and that's that. And so on the other side, right, like the podcast is the actual business that's in the unit.
So in that scenario, the building leases out to a strong tenant, which is this company that I'm going to create. So I can go to someone and say, hey, give me $1 million. I'm going to buy this building. I'm going to build it out. And you will make a payment. You will make money not only off of the money that the tenant, which is me, is paying the building, but also you're an equity owner in the building.
So being an equity owner in the building gets you profit off of those lease revenues, whatever come in. So podcast aside, again, this is just a real estate investment. You're an LP, you're a GP in this case, right? So you own the building. You also own the company that is going to be occupying the building. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
explain GPLP.
So GPLP, it's a type of structure that's used in a lot of large transactions. I mean, from even smaller, like let's just say there's a 20 unit, we bought, right? We use the GPLP structure for that. If you're doing, syndication, which is, in layman's terms, using crowdfunding, right? through different SEC exemptions for raising money for securities. You can use that GP LP structure as well. So GP stands for general partner. LP stands for limited partner. The way that I usually remember those is your GP is your operator. They're the quarterback. They're putting all the pieces together. They found the investors. They found the deal. They find the property managers. They do all the stuff, like all the end of year accounting, like they do everything, right? And for that work, they are compensated a portion of equity in that deal. The LPs, limited partners, are your investors. It's the easy way to remember it. Operator, investor. A GP can
Give me some numbers. Examples.
So let's just say, let's just say a $2 million deal, right? We're talking about this right here. We'll round it up to 2. GP LP type of situation. Let's say the GP structure, looks to be, 15% of equity. So to find the deal, to operate it, to put the whole thing together, to find the tenant, to do all these other things, LPs agree to provide 15% of deal equity on that property, which is ownership, profit, like it's everything, right? 15% to that GP group. The LPs own 85%. They're bringing all the money. So in this case, they're bringing $2 million for 85% of the business. That's what they're bringing to the table. GPs are bringing expertise, skill,
work,
ability to execute, work, most importantly, for 15%.
I see. So in this scenario, let's say I'm going to buy this building, $1 million. I may say I find a group of people who are all going to put in maybe 100,000, 50,000 or whatever to make up this $1 million. But this $1 million represents 85%. The other 15% equity will come from us, like people who are either finding these investors or monitoring the build out and all that kind of stuff and structuring it and getting all the contractors and stuff like that.
That's right.
Okay, so that would be an attractive option for an investor. How?
So in this case, and I can tell you of all the options, everything comes down to like the investor profile, because all the 3 options that you would have gotten, I don't know exactly the other 2.
Go through them.
I know where she's coming from, so I can pretty much tell you what the other 2 are, because that's what I would say. But generally, the type of investment structure depends on the type of investor you want, because someone like me, where I'm at in my real estate journey, short-term cash flow is not as important as long-term money plays. Now, when you're starting out, or, let's just say, you're still at your W-2, like you're working through, trying to build up that real estate portfolio, there is a greater importance for short-term cash flow because you need it to pay bills.
Yeah.
But there is a crossover point where short-term cash becomes less important, and that enables you to focus on long-term plays, which are much more profitable long-term. So, and that's really the dream, right? The long-term plays. And so in this case, why would investors prefer, option 1 where they're owning the building? I would say the investor profile for that is someone who doesn't really have a high need for short-term cash flow, and they're looking more for the long-term value add and appreciation that's going to occur, or that's going to be realized in this building.
Got it. Because no matter what happens to the actual business, whether the business is busy, slow, all that kind of stuff, they own the real estate. You know what? You said something to me one time. You picked me up from the airport in Louisiana, in Lafayette, and you said you own some properties yourself, like just not a part of a group. It's just
right.
These are my properties. And I forgot the question, but I remember the answer was, man, I'm really trying to get rid of those so I can do more syndication stuff.
It is true.
Why is that? It seems like you own the property and you make the money, and maybe you put a system in place where, property management or whatever, and you get to own it versus a portion of other stuff.
Yeah. So, and that's a real hot topic, in the real estate market, because you talk to, different types of investors, and they'll be like, oh, if you don't own 100%, then you don't own it. And I'm like, well, first off, Blackstone, biggest, pretty much hedge fund in the world, they would have something to say about that, right? All these large real estate funds, all the REITs, everything, your real estate investment trust, all of those, like they own things outright, but their investors are comprised of proportional ownership, and yes, I can go out and build a real estate empire, by just stacking properties. Let me get them one at a time, and eventually I'll be able to do 2 at a time, and then 4 at a time, and then 10 at a time. But the difference is that, number one, when you don't collaborate with investors like that, you're missing out on huge networking opportunities. Because like, if you and I just knew each other, right, that would be a certain level of, we'll call it like, business intimacy, right? Like, I know a certain part of you. But if we're doing deals together, and those deals are, very much complex, and it requires a greater level of trust, well, hold on, now all of a sudden, like, it is different. You know what I mean? Like, when you come into town, it's like, hey, we're not going to eat at a restaurant. Like, I'm bringing you to my house. Like, we got dinner on the stove. Like, it's that type of stuff. So there's the networking portion of it, but also it's just like, stereotypical business term of synergy, like, I mean, saw that, some big Microsoft announcement a while back, but the CEO was up there on stage, like, super sweating, just like sweating bucks off. He's like yelling synergy and all this stuff. So that's what it is. But like, if I take, 10 investors that each have $10, okay, that's $100 of investment right there. This is a small investment, obviously, but if I take 10 investors, each of them have $10. If they invest that on their own, right, the power of that money is $10.
Yeah.
Well, if I put all those 10 people together, the power is not 100. It's a lot higher than 100. And so you're able to scale a whole lot better in group economics. Honestly, it's less work, because if I own properties outright, I have to find property managers. I have to do underwriting. I have to do deal structure. I have to find funding. I have to do all these things. But if we're doing group economics, all I'm doing right now is underwriting. Yeah. And I'm really good at it. Okay. Terica, she's doing acquisitions and she's the best at it. I have not found one person better. I'm being very honest about it, so you're able to focus on specializations, and it's the same type of efficiencies you would see, if you're looking at like a small mom and pop style business versus a large corporation. Large corporations, they have tax analysts, right? They have, a product specialist, right, that only focus on product design. Whereas mom and pop, you're doing everything, right? So you're spread thin. So I will defend that to the death in every single scenario, and there is benefit to owning it outright on your own. But just for me and my investment strategy, there's no other apex approach than group economics.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, cool.
We found this deal, and I'm like, bro, this dude, I mean, it's less than 1% interest he paying on this. Like, I can't make this up. Am I lying? Like 1%. And he was like, he still had questions. I'm like, David, do you understand? It's like $8,000 or $7,500 or something like that to put down, a crazy number. You own this portfolio. Like, we didn't even do a bond for deed. Like, we did a credit sale. So when you go look this up, David is the owner. Like, for $8,000, and people try to make it bigger than what it really is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Somebody told me, yo, you can't buy properties for $5,000. I said, you can't. Like, you can't. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, man, interviewing and asking questions is a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. Look, it's in his DNA. I'm just saying, okay? And so 1% interest, and those properties occupied is anywhere from $1,200 to $1,400 a month consistently. To a lot of people, you're like, yo, that ain't no money, but you don't got to work for it.
I've literally never even seen the property.
Yeah.
Like, I was on FaceTime with her one day where she's like, before we bought it, and she was walking through like, we're gonna have to let that tenant go and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh wow, we got to do all this other stuff. And eventually, everything she said was going to happen happened. She said, we got to have some sort of sustainability period. Like, you're going to have to like have some sort of reserve until we like get people out and like do the repairs and stuff like that. And literally I get a check for about $1,000 every single month. And I've never seen the property. So what she's teaching me is you can acquire the property, have a property manager in place. Their responsibility is to make sure that we make money because the property manager gets a percentage of the rent, correct?
That's right.
And I am so okay with that because I've never seen these properties.
And you have no headache with it. And I mean, $12,000 a year, when you think about not doing anything, there's people at McDonald's right now working every single, every 5 days a week, 52 weeks in a year, if they have, time or whatever off, but that's what they're making.
Yeah, I made $30,000 a year at the Cheesecake Factory. Like, that's about $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making a third of that with this property without touching it.
Mhm.
And I never really understood the power of real estate, but now I'm starting to see. So
It's beautiful.
we got to walk into the next deal.
It's so beautiful.
And this all happened, it's been about a year or so, a little over a year.
Yeah. I mean, when you became aggressive and said, yo, I realize I can't leave, like, I guess you can leave content, but it's some kind of way you told it to me. I was like, ooh, that's good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't leave like, like Naveen said, right? Like they got to know how to influence themselves. You can't leave that.
I can't leave this podcast.
Like you can't.
To my kids.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it was like, but I can't leave them real estate. You know what I'm saying? I've always been like that. My son got more bricks than probably anybody in this room right now. Not to be cocky, like you know what I'm saying. But I've been breaking this boy bricks since he been born. You know,
how old are you? 18. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I always threaten him. I said, anytime he want to make a bad decision, whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna take the house out your trust fund. Like, yeah, like that's our conversation. So he gets so mad at me. Like that's how we talk in the house. So
I love it. I love it. All right, so this next deal, we got to walk through that because we got a 6-unit building, literally a stone throw from the French Quarter.
Yes,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
how we do that?
So again, I mean, favor not fair. Somebody asked, like, how can I get access to you? I'm like, you gotta be in a room. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. My daughter, maybe somehow, like she's always looking at real estate and finding deals.
And how old is your daughter?
17 now.
17. She actually found the property that we flipped.
Yeah.
And she found this French Quarter deal too.
It's the French Quarter deal. Yeah. Like
That's
she's
crazy.
always looking at deals. Like
and she was 16 when we started this process. And I definitely felt some way. I'm like, this little girl know more about. I had my real estate license too. I'm like, I had my real estate license 2005, 2006, I want to say. I'm like, this little girl know way more about real estate and way more about wealth building than I do. So I'm like, all right, let me get connected to your mama.
Yeah, she about that check for real. Like, I mean, closing happened. She like, what we doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? She's like serious about it. But anyway, so I mean, they was asking $500,000 for this property, and I went in, we negotiated, we ended up at 350.
So how does that happen? And I'm still trying to figure that out about you.
So
and now when I look at properties, the price of the property I don't pay a whole lot of attention to because I know Terica don't normally pay that number anyway.
I don't, and I don't pay attention to their numbers. I think that's just one man's opinion. But what I will say is that, the property wasn't even on the market long, to be honest with you. And with, going in and saying, okay, I want it at 350,000, my numbers have to work or they have to work. So if our numbers don't work and if I'm not happy with the numbers, that they have on the market, like right now, we're looking at a personal home for me and my family. Well, they want 1.9. I text the realtor. I said, I can't get to 1.9. I don't really like that number. I said, I don't really like your comps. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so she was like, but the pool is blah, blah. So I don't really like your comps. And it's the same going back to this deal with the realtor. I'm like, I like this deal at this price. These numbers make sense for an investor. Only an investor going to come and get this turd. Nobody else. Right. And, he went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then he was like, well, can you come in at 390? You see, when you're negotiating, you don't overcomplicate it. You allow them to talk themselves into a deal that's favorable to you. When he came back and said, would you consider 390? I'm like, ooh, got him. Got him. I said, I'm not at 390. I said, but we are closer. We are closer. Let me tell you a few more of my concerns. And so we just went back and forth, back and forth. We came to a meeting round. I think it was like 350 or 360. We closed on it ASAP because I'm like, yo, give me that. That's the dirt in New Orleans. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if this house blow down right now, we literally paid the price of the dirt. That's how much that land is valued at.
Dang.
So knowing that, it's like, it's a no-brainer.
Yo, and tell them about the little thing we had to sign about.
The redhibition clause?
Redhibition.
Yes. Yeah. So, some people take advantage of people, and so they like, we want to make sure that you don't come back and, say we took advantage of you or you took advantage of us and that we sold this property way below market value to you and that you're accepting it in the condition that it's in and you won't sue us and we won't sue you. Technically, that's how the redhibition
When do you have to sign redhibition?
Well, every state is different. But in the state of Louisiana, normally we'll sign that if it's just a professional dealing with just a homeowner, like a regular home seller with no credentials, no knowledge. Like a lot of people took advantage of people during Hurricane Katrina who didn't really have professional knowledge. And so they gave them pennies on the dollar for their property right after Hurricane Katrina. I'm talking like $10,000. And then you come back, the home is $500,000. Well, that right there is where the retribution clause became like more aggressive in the state of Louisiana when they started taking advantage of people like that. And so, me personally, I never want anybody to say I take advantage of them. I feel like I'm a great negotiator. And if I don't like the deal, I just won't buy it. Like I'm not attached emotionally to any deal.
I begin attached a little bit.
Yeah.
Emotionally. I like, if it's like the perfect space.
Yeah.
Remember the one we went to look at? Joe, you was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was Reese there too?
Yeah.
Oh, you got the footage, right? So we walked through this. I think it was 30,000 square feet.
It was a big turd.
And it was, but I saw the beauty in it too.
Yeah. I saw the beauty, but it was a turd.
30,000 square feet, not far from around the corner. And what was impressive is it's this big building and there's no pillars on the inside. Right. So the way I'm looking at it, like, we can have a concert in this joint. We could build this joint and like we have a Drake concert and it will hold the people. And I'm like, ooh, T, I like it. And she's like, yeah, it's all right. I'm like, but I don't know. I forgot how much they wanted. They wanted like $3 million or something like that.
It was up there.
It was just too much. Tara can't like the number.
Yeah.
So
it was just the numbers for me. It was just the numbers.
I'm looking at what we could do with the space, and you're only looking at the numbers.
Yeah, well, because the numbers is what bankrupt people. When they don't look at them, they get haircuts. You cannot buy real estate and not pay attention to the formulas. That is why we have formulas. So if you're going to invest as an investor, you gotta show respect to what's going to protect you, the numbers, right? And so I'm like, David, we're going to have a whole lot of holding costs, for a long period of time. And we got to put in a lot of money into this. And you know what I'm saying? Like the numbers just have to make sense. Now, if Homeboy was at $1 million, be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Right, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But they haven't, in this market, people will try to get you to overpay for something just because it's a trend. Because, Atlanta is so hot, the market is so hot, we're going to overpay, blah, blah, blah. And you got all this inflation. I'm not emotionally driven, and that's what keeps me protected because I know this bubble eventually is going to pop and we're going to eat. Like, we're going to eat like Debbie Cake eat. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be good, And so I do believe the transfer of wealth is from the impatient to the patient.
So we got to be patient.
We have to be
So I got to take my heart out of it.
That's
Look
right.
at the numbers.
Those same buildings you see, we will be buying them.
Can you explain a little bit of the formulas?
Yes. Which one?
I mean, just give me one. One formula that I need to be looking at. Let's say commercial real estate. What are the numbers that you're looking at?
So one of the questions you asked me is like, yo, T, how you chop this up real fast, right? Now, this is not like this is just a quick formula. You still got to do due diligence. You still got to do different things like that, right? But I always look at the 100 times rule. So I look at the monthly gross income on any multifamily deal or any commercial deal, and I multiply it times 100. So take out your phones right now and you say, okay, it makes $15,000 a month gross.
Mm-hmm.
Times 100. What is that number?
Say it again. $15,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. Times 100.
1.5 million.
1.5 million. So
your formulas. You got to work on your formulas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I know they shouldn't be asking over 1.5 million for this building. Because that's a quick formula that investors use. And look, we didn't come up with this. I mean, the people that's been buying real estate before us, before the 400 years, came up with this. Like, you get what I'm saying? So all we doing is using the knowledge that they've been using, but now we're applying it correctly. So when you be like, yo, T, like, you sent me something, I'm like, yeah, they overpriced by this much. It's like, well, how? Because I just did a quick 100 times rule. So if it's not making any income and it have potential to be income, that's not my fault. I'm going to give them an offer based on the current condition because I have to base it on what if I get 0 tenants? Now, I'm sure I'm going to get some, But I'm not basing my numbers to make them feel good. I'm basing my numbers on what I believe is my worst case scenario, so it can still be my best case scenario.
If someone's selling something and it works inside your formula, will you automatically still negotiate?
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, who don't? So real estate, you got to always remember, everything's negotiable in real estate. Everything, your closing date, your attorney, your realtor fees, anybody that's involved in the deal is negotiable. If a realtor is trying to be pushy and make you take a deal, say, all right, look, I'll take it, but I need you to cut your commission by 2%. They're going to stop being pushy. They'll be like, nah, we agree with you. You need to negotiate with the seller. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're going to push you back over there. And so, absolutely, just because it falls in the formula, like I said, that's just a quick rule of thumb. I still got other stuff that I have to go in and do. But I'm going to look at the numbers that are the best for me, because I've taken enough haircuts in this game to know one bad haircut could like bankrupt me completely. I don't want that.
Wow. We have Miss Terica Lynn Smith in the building. Just really stop by while like you're in transition, came to Atlanta, has a layover, came here, hung out with me for a second, then you're about to head right back out. But when it comes to the word investor, because you have investor on your hat, that's a dope investor hat.
Thank you.
When you hear the word investor, what does that mean to you?
So I think for myself, right? I think everybody have their own definitions, but for me, it just means buying income.
Buying income.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anytime a word investor is mentioned, they're looking to buy income. That's the whole reason for becoming any type of investor, whether it's real estate, whether it's in stocks, whether it's in mergers and acquisitions, whether it's in like whatever, it doesn't matter. An investor buys income. That's what they do.
And I would imagine, so there's I guess levels here, right? Because you can build streams of income, or you can buy streams of income.
That's right.
So you built some streams of income before, and you've bought streams of income. So tell me about building a stream of income. Like you're a real estate agent. Like tell me about that process.
Yeah. So building a stream of income is, obviously much more different than buying income, because you got to put in a little bit more elbow grease than you would if you was just buying something that's already, self-sustaining. So whenever I'm looking at, building income, it's going to start from the ugliest property probably on the block. Okay. So you start there, and then you take some money and you fix it up. And if your goal is to hold it, then you look at the longevity of the deal to see how much it's going to take to, fix it up and cash flow you. And then from there, you allow that income to take care of you. So that's building in the simplest of forms. I'm trying to keep it elementary too.
But also, for sure. Yeah. But also you can talk to being a real estate agent where you had to go get clients. What was that work like? Because that was very extreme.
That's like employee. Like that's what it's like being an employee. So to all of my realtors out there, make sure you're not just helping everybody else find their dream. You need to be investing in the dream as well. That's just a disclaimer. I like to say that, right?
Right.
So what does that mean, right? Whenever I was a real estate agent, I thought I was going to be super rich. Like I was like, yo, I got my license. I worked hard. It took me forever to pass this real estate exam. And here I go. And then I'm thinking like everybody was just going to want to do business with me because I have this piece of paper. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, da-da-da-da. Like, you know what I'm saying? And nobody did. Nobody did. And so my first year, I made $5,000 in real estate. And I'm like, I could have went to McDonald's and made way much more money than this. Like, this is ridiculous. So my first year in real estate, I was less than minimum wage, but I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything about finding a niche. I didn't have a real estate coach. The broker was not a coach. He was my pimp. So he just, you know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they'd be like, go out there and work and bring me back some commission. Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't got to do nothing. They supposed to teach, train, motivate, educate, all that, but they don't. Well, some do. Let me say some brokers do, not all. But the broker I had did not. He wanted a check. And so I remember buying this CD, and you know what a CD is. Yeah, you in my age group. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I got a younger group. You gotta explain it, give the definition, what you had to do with the CD.
So back in the day, we had things that were called CDs, and they're like these circle things that have voices on them, music or whatever. I don't know how else to describe a CD. Right. And you put it into a machine, and you can hear the people on it. Right. So I had bought this program. It was like $12, and I didn't know if it was fraud or not, but it was like a CD by Todd Bates, I remember, and he was talking in regards to comebacks and confidence, and just finding a niche lane and different things like that. And I would listen to that CD every single day. Well, the next year I went out and I became Century 21 Rookie of the Year because I smashed the game. Like that CD, listening to it every day, just changed my mindset. It gave me confidence because when I was a realtor, I would go and ask for business like I needed them. Yeah. But the CD taught me they need me. Yeah. It's like going to a doctor, right? You need the doctor. Sure. Well, I'm the real estate doctor, so they need me. And so I built that confidence up. And then from there, I found my niche with investors. I stopped focusing on sellers and buyers, and I went solely after real estate investors. And I worked for free until it paid off, and one rich person knows another rich person. And then from there, that's how my business grew.
I love it. And there's nothing wrong with building streams of income, y'all. And I encourage it. Build a stream of income because you understand a lot about real estate.
Absolutely.
A lot about entrepreneurship. But you are not an agent, you are a broker.
Right.
Right? So can you explain the difference?
Sure. Let me give you guys a difference because most people kind of get it confused. So when you are a real estate agent, you have to hang your license with a broker. So you can't just sell. You can get your license, you have to. So for me, I'm the broker owner. So there are agents that have to have their license somewhere. So they house their license with me. And essentially what people don't recognize is when they write the contract, you are an agent and that is technically not your contract. That contract belongs to the broker.
Hold on. As an agent, hold on. Because I had my license before and I'm like, when I go get a contract, I signed I didn't do that well, but I didn't do that good. But so when I sign a contract with, like, say somebody wants to buy a house,
right,
or sell a house, they're not signing a contract with me. It's with the broker.
Absolutely, it is with the broker, and we are essentially responsible for the compliance. We're responsible if they want to sue anybody on this contract. They're not suing you as the agent. They're going to sue the broker because we're the ones that actually are responsible for the entire transaction. So let's just say, and this hasn't happened to me, but let's just say you write a contract and you're like, I like it over here at Watson Realty Co., but I want to leave and I want to take my contract with me. I don't have to give it to you. It's mine. I can pay you your split, but that contract belongs to Watson Realty Co.
Oh, wow.
So that's what most people don't recognize. So that's the biggest difference between being an agent. You're responsible for yourself. The minute you become a broker, you're responsible for how many other people hang their license with you. And it's a huge responsibility because people get sued every day, B.
Clearly. Yo, so give me some successes. Like how big is your firm?
We are right at 34 agents today. What? And I can tell you, I always wanted to be one of those firms that were tiny but mighty. I could have 100 agents if I wanted to. The reason I moved that way because my agents are actually producing. So I don't want to have 100 agents and only 20 people are closing deals. I have 30 agents and 30 agents are closing deals. And that makes a big difference in my recruiting process and my thought process about how I'm managing my structure of the business.
How much real estate y'all selling?
Right now, the goal this year is 100 million. We are already at 80 million.
What?
Yes, 80 million already closed deals. And by the end of the year, I know we'll surpass 100 million because I'm watching the contracts and I see the deals coming through.
What about last year?
So last year we were only at 6 agents. I just opened the doors this year.
Wow.
So at 6 agents last year, we actually still closed $62 million.
What? With 6 agents?
With 6 agents. I mean, I'm still a producing agent. I closed 22 million by myself.
Come on, you better talk that talk. You better talk that talk here, Kiana.
I close that by myself, and I do that consistently. I've been doing that for the last 3 years. Even in this space I am now, with everything I'm doing, I'm on track to close 20 million individually in real estate by myself.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So what does a normal agent do? Like first year, what's like the first expectation?
Your first expectation in your first year is you're going to have to pay to play. There are so many people getting in this business. You think I'm just going to be great. I'm gonna take that picture like Kiana. I'm gonna post it on Instagram. Boom, I'm gonna blow up. That is not how it
don't work
works.
that way.
Your first year, I would recommend you join a team. And if you're just gonna be out in the trenches, you need to take that time to learn what you're doing, understand the process, and go for what we like to call is going to be the easier deals, which are going to be the lower cost deals, first time home buyers. But that's how you're gonna learn. Because by the time you're closing multi-million-dollar deals, you can't learn on those deals. You're gonna have to be 100% in it to win it because it's so much more to lose. So I would say your first year, you're going to use learning.
Yeah.
You're going to be somebody's admin. You're going to be out in the field. You're going to be opening doors for a top producing agent. You're going to have to help somebody so you can help yourself. Get you a mentor. And then by the time you learn what you're doing, get your back end together. There are so many people like you start off with I can manage these clients in my cell phone. That's cool when you got 5 clients. I've serviced over 250 people. They can't stay in my cell phone. You need a database. And so, but start off with a database. I make that mistake when I first started popping. I'm like, I can manage this on my phone. And then I paid somebody like $3,000 to fix my database when I recognized this is messed up.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever went to get your teeth done, like at a dentist appointment, right? And they send you happy birthday in your email, get the card.
Yep.
That's your database. They're not doing that physically. You know that, right?
Right,
it's a machine. And so it's the same thing like real estate. It's a machine. And if you run it like a business, you'll last. So your first year, set the foundation, because when you're busy, you're going to be too busy to set the foundation.
How much should I, on average, first year as an agent, like how much real estate you think I should sell? Is it $1 million, $2 million?
My expectations, I'm going to tell you, about $2 million in real estate would be fair in your first year, because you're still learning and people still have to trust you, and you have to kind of get your confidence up and your knowledge up. About 2.5 million would be a good year for a first year agent. And
the average is like 3%, right?
Absolutely. So the average is 3%.
So 3% of $1 million is what? 3,000? 30,000?
30,000. So you're gonna make about, after you pay your broker. So your broker gonna take some money. I think that y'all forget, like, you calculate all this money, but if you're on a team, they probably taking 30%. Your broker gonna take their 20%. Like, everybody eats first, and then you get your split.
I ain't in your business, Kiana, but
I mean, I know. Please don't.
22 million. Okay. Yeah, okay. And that's like, so you have your own, you still produce your own, and then as a broker, you're helping other people, so you get a little piece off of that.
Of course. This is how it works, and shout out to the agents of Watson Realty Co. Let me say that. But this is how it works. Of course, I get a piece of everything they close because I'm setting the foundation for their closings. I'm available for broker support. When they come to the company, the back-end systems are in place. The CRM is in place. The templates are in place. Your processes are in place. Your back-end design center is in place. You can kind of come and plug and play. And for that, there's a compensation. And for that time of helping you manage deals, helping you through your first deal, or helping you through your first multi-million-dollar deal, I'm going to get my fee.
I ain't mad at that. I mean, obviously, for sure, like if you're like not only just facilitating, but I'm sure there's a mentorship aspect and all that kind of stuff.
There's a mentorship aspect. And the difference between me and other brokerages, it is a exposure aspect. Watson Realty Co., we have our own dedicated social media page. In that page, we highlight every single one of our agents, and people go over there and they choose. Yeah. Other brokers, they don't really do that. And so you're getting the social aspect of it. So when I make a big announcement about Watson Realty Co. and work with one of my agents, there are 2 of my agents. One of my agents, she's an associate agent on the team. And I was like telling everyone, just go support us.
What's associate agent?
So an associate agent is on a team of a principal agent. My principal agents, I have 14 of those. Those are the ones that are my heavy hitters. I know they're going to close 10 million plus a year.
What?
They all are. Like, they all, the minimum I think on my probably like 7 million in a year. But those are my heavy hitters. And then from there, they bring team members underneath them, which are our associate agents. They have to come under a team. Right. So when you come under a team, what that does for me is I have most of my trainings and most of my mentorship directly with the principal agents. But every month I train everybody. Yeah. And the door is open, but it makes it easier for me because now, like, I'm not going to in a space where I can teach you how to write your first contract. Join a team for that. But I am in a space like, Kiana, I got my first multi-million deal. All right, now you experience. Let me give you some real game. Let me show you how to structure your business. Let me show you how to build a team. So most of the agents that come to me, I'm teaching them how to build a team because they see I've successfully done it. And they are like really successful in building teams and encouraging them. We don't have a revolving door. People come and they stay. It's a reason for that.
Why do they pick you, like Watson Realty versus Keller Williams or Metro Brokers? Like, why do you think those people say, yo, I want to rock with her?
I feel like it's because I come from a place of this is what I'm actually doing. See, have anybody seen Keller Williams in the streets closing houses? Exactly. Right.
Signs, yeah.
Exactly. So, but when you come over here, it's like, I know that I've watched Kiana build this business. I see she closes deals. Yeah. She's still out here with us a little bit. Like I'm closing at a high level. I can tell you what's going on right now today. And our market from last year has shifted. I can train them because I'm also doing it.
And you're in the streets, yeah.
Exactly. So it's really about knowing that you're with a company that wants to see you win. And I'm not training you from an old concept. I'm training you from what's conceptual and what's actually happening today.
I was actually thinking about like renewing my license.
Come on. We need you.
Really?
Yes.
I think I might get because one, I'm just interested in buying real estate myself. And I feel like if I had my license, I'd have more tools and I would understand real estate a little more.
You would. You'll have a better understanding. And then I tell people this all the time. There are some people that's never going to want to do this job. But if you're buying and selling real estate consistently, why not get your license and represent yourself? Get a better understanding of the market, get a better understanding of running comps, what to expect. You don't have to wait for someone to open the door. You want to see something, you can go see it yourself. You have the license to do so. So that's the thing. Like, I think it's an amazing industry. I encourage everybody to get their real estate license. Think about it, even on a part-time basis. Yeah. If you have a full-time job and you help 5 people and you close, let's say $3 million in real estate, you're gonna make you a nice little side hustle income.
Absolutely.
And it's good. Like the average house is, if you let's say $300,000 house, right? You're gonna make $9,000. Now, okay, give or take your fees you got to give out, but let's just say you do that 4 times. You could bring an extra. Let's talk about it.
Sure, indeed.
And that's not even the average price point in Atlanta right now.
And I could put in my own lowball offers without my agent judging me.
And we do judge. Let me tell you, we judge. We judge because it's time.
It's $1 million. Offer them $750.
We know it's not gonna work. We know it's not gonna work, and then we be like, man, they wasting our time. Like we'll convince.
But sometimes,
not sometimes.
So it works sometimes.
Who said that?
So no, shout out to Terica. I've seen her do some amazing things.
But that's because she believed in it, though.
True.
When you run the numbers, like I'm a numbers person. Like I've taken appraisal classes. Like I actually I got software that appraisers use. Like that's how deep I am into knowing. I want to know. Like I need to know, and so if it makes sense, I'm a lowballer. Right. But if it doesn't make sense, and I'm showing you this data, we're just not gonna waste time.
Gotcha.
You didn't hire me to waste your time. I might do it the one time just to prove to you wrong, but after that, we got to get back on track.
God, do you get a lot of people that do lowball offers, though? Especially investors.
Let me tell you, right now, all of a sudden, y'all think y'all could get a $2 million house for $500,000.
It's recession, baby. Come on, put it in the offer, Kiana.
It's not.
Throw it in.
We are not in that type of recession. Atlanta is not there. Like that is not what's happening. Like that is not what I can tell you. And I'm even willing to say our industry for the last 2 years was insane. Like a lot of us were just overworked. It was so many people losing offers back to back. People were closing in over $50,000, paying over $50,000 over asking price, $30,000 over asking price just to win the offer. That has slowed down, and I'm actually glad it has because it was just brutal. It was brutal for the buyers. The sellers came up during that time. 100%. But now when they're like, oh, we're in a recession, I'm like, well, how are we in a recession? We still have, if you have inventory, we still only have less than 2 months of inventory on the market. Just ran the numbers.
What does that mean?
So when you have inventory on the market, this is what tells you if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. 6 months of inventory is considered to be more of a neutral market. That's a win-win for everybody.
But what does 6 months of inventory mean?
That's houses on the market. So 6 months of houses on the market that could actually supply the demand.
So if I list a house today, I won't expect this house to sell for 6 months. Meaning it's been on the market 6 months.
What we're talking about is the number of houses. So let's just say there are 10,000 houses on the market, but there are 20,000 people looking for houses, then we don't have enough supply to meet the demand. But if there are 10,000 houses on the market and there are 10,000 people that they look in the data and looking, then now we're in a neutral market. But if you have 10,000 houses on the market and there are 40,000 people still actively approved looking for houses, you're in a seller's market. There's not enough inventory to satisfy the supply. It's a supply and demand.
And if there's 40,000 houses on the market but only 10,000 active buyers.
Oh, now you're in a buyer's market.
Buyer's market. But how do we measure the months, like 6 months, 5 months?
So the way they're measured is we're looking at the number of inventory, and then they go back to the data and look at how many people they pulled that are approved for mortgages. And so when they look at this data, they come up with that number, and it comes out every month to real estate agents, which is why you may want to get your license back.
Oh, for sure. Okay,
so it
gotcha.
comes out every month. So I looked at the data, and we have 1.9 months of inventory.
Yeah.
It's not enough.